I want to talk about music for a while. Do you realize that music could be defined as the greatest vice and addiction in the country? It's a colossal industry. People are utterly dependent on it. Lots of people can't do without music at all. Billions of dollars go into the making of records, into the artistry of playing instruments and all this kind of thing. And it's completely and utterly useless from a practical point of view. But you could say there is a disease called chorditis. And that chorditis is addiction to melodious noise. It's absolutely fascinating. And herein lies one of the great mysteries of being. Because music, like survival, doesn't really have to happen. Now let's look, you see, therefore, take music as a model of the universe. Music is a fantasy with no destination. Dancing is the same thing, only in motion. And when we dance, we are not going anywhere, except round and round. And like children, when they're little, and they love it. And adults say, "Stop that! Behave yourself. Be useful. Be purposive." So, but the universe is not. And here you see giraffes, hippopotamuses, ferns. They're insane. The point is then that the music is life for its own sake, where we're living in an eternal now. When we listen to music, we're not listening to the past, we're not listening to the future. We are listening to an expanded present. Because to hear melody is to hear the interval between tones. If you can't hear the interval, you're tone deaf. So just as we have a field of vision, which is so wide, so the present moment is not, as the clock indicates, a hairline. The present moment is a field of experience, which is not what we would call instantaneous. Much more than that. So that within the present moment, we can hear intervals between tones and rhythms, so that we get the feel of a sequence going on. So when I talk about the eternal now, please don't confuse it with a split second. It's not the same kind of thing. The eternal now is roomy. Lots in it, rich, but frivolous. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. Yet Solomon in all his glory was not clothed like one of these. Do not be anxious for tomorrow. You who are frivolous, of course. G.K. Chesterton said, "Angels fly because they take themselves lightly." See? There is a divine frivolity. The love that moves the sun and other stars is frivolity. And God, therefore, might be described as being sincere but not serious. So that playfulness is the very essence of the energy of the universe. That's what's happening. It's music. But the classical music, whether it be of the West, of the Hindus, of the Chinese, has no other meaning than its own sound. Now, words, you see, have meaning. Words are noises, and they represent and point to something other than themselves in the same way as dollar bills represent wealth, as maps represent territory. Words represent something else. Water. The sound water will not make you wet. You can't drink that noise. Water. Therefore, the word is symbolic and points to something other than itself. And so we say of words, they have meaning. Now, people get all fouled up because they want life to have meaning, as if it were words. See? Confusing reality with words. What do you mean? You know? It's an insult to ask you what you mean. As if you had to have a meaning, as if you were a mere word, as if you were something that could be looked up in a dictionary. You are meaning. This is the point, see? That the meaning, the goodie about life, is exactly here and now. We're not going anywhere. Look out in the street and you will see people frantically thinking they're going somewhere, that they have important business. They have a far-out look in their eyes and their noses stick way out in front. And they are going somewhere. They are on purpose. They have something to achieve. Here and now, sitting around here, we realize we don't have to go anywhere. This is where it's at. That's why the Hindus call the true self of us all the Atman. And where it's at. But now, here is the thing that we're getting at, is that a culture which excludes frivolity has lost the point of life. Life is not worth living if it is compulsive. That it is an absolute necessity to go on as long as possible. While there is life, there is hope. That's a terrible motto. But some of us like to go on simply because we're enjoying the dance. Even if we're not very rich and live in a fairly simple way, nevertheless, the companionship with other people, the sight of the sun, the stars, the grasses, the sound of water, is its own explanation. This haiku poem says, "The long night, the sound of the water says what I think."